Good evening, everyone, or good morning, or good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this. Welcome back to another episode of Curl Conversations with my friend here, Jennessa. And we're so excited to chat with y'all today because we have one of our very good friends here with us today. His name is Dominique LyVar, and he is also known as Kingdom of Curls on Instagram. If you don't already follow him, you should. We'll share his handle later. But let's go ahead and bring him on. Hi, Dom.
Hi. Hey, guys. How are you?
So good to see you.
Yes.
So, yeah, for those of y'all who don't know, Dom and I go way back. We used to work in the salon together. So I'm excited to have him on to talk about some aspects of hairstyling that maybe not everyone knows a lot about. And so to kick us off, I would love to ask you, Dom, why did you become a hairstylist in the first place?
Let's see. Why did I become a hairstylist? I was good at it. I was good at it naturally, and I really didn't know, that I really wanted to be a hairstylist until I went to college first, and realized that wasn't it. So I found out that I was good at doing hair by doing my sister's hair. Let me just start there. So that's how I basically started doing hair, was playing around in my sister's hair. She was my guinea pig. So you can thank my sister for getting me into this industry.
Oh, I'm sure she has some stories.
Lots.
That's another episode.
Definitely. Oh yeah. and we still talk to this day, so that's a good thing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so it was really just kind of gradual. I remember telling some of my friends while I was in high school that I didn't want to go to college. I want to go straight to hair school. And of course, they were like, no, go to college. So I did that. It wasn't the move at the time. So, so I remember finishing 2 years at school. And then as soon as I finished that, I went and signed up for beauty school. And it was a wrap after that.
The rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is lots of history.
I'm sure. So yes, that's take it away with the other questions that we have. I'm sure we could go off on tangents, but I'll keep myself here.
I was kind of curious with Dom. Like, I know I've always wanted to kind of pick your brain about all the different aspects of the things that you do within the industry, right? You've done it all, right? Like, you've done like so many things. Like, you've been a teacher, you've been a salon manager, apprenticeship programs, you're doing sessions. Behind the chair, like, what's your favorite thing to do? What of all that you've ever done, what's been your favorite and like most fun?
Honestly, the education. The education. I remember my very first day of beauty school, the teacher went around and asked all of us, what did we want to do, with getting our license and things like that. And I said, well, I want to educate. So it's been from kind of like literally day one of beauty school that, I always wanted to do the education. It kind of just fit naturally. Yeah.
I agree.
So that's definitely it. Yeah, that, it's just a matter of, being a natural at giving back and not trying to hoard everything, and that's always been, if I have it, I want everybody to have it.
Oh my God, I love that. And like, I feel that from you every time that you and I get a chance to meet. And I'm kind of fangirling also because I miss you all so much because I haven't been able to see you on, but this is actually like kind of the first, I'm going to consider this the first time that we've actually like worked together officially because we're
definitely. Yeah.
So
right.
But yeah, so we've got some really awesome questions. So we're going to pick your brain. And I like these ones. I'm really curious about the answers too. So we're going to dig right in. Cool.
All right. Yeah.
All right. First question is, I have a client that I see whose hair is quite tangly and knotted. When she comes in, is there any way I can speed up the detangling process? I want to make sure that she's comfortable as well. And I like that part, like her comfort is important to the stylist, which is essential. So what's the best way of going about that?
So I like to actually go in and try to detangle dry with my hands and fingers, getting out some of the tangles before I have to go and wet it. Because once you wet that hair, it's just going to seize up. So trying to go in, detangle gently without, really going in and ripping through any type of knots and things like that. Really just going in from the root, from the ends, really going in, just really smoothing out that hair and really feeling what actually you need to cut and what you don't. That's really how I really got into it. Just feeling down the shaft of hair, what's healthy and what's not. As opposed to looking at it, sometimes when the hair is dehydrated, you can mistake it thinking that it needs to go when actually it really just needs hydration. So that was one of the reasons why I started to really go in and get my hands in more when the hair was dry as opposed to at the sink.
Oh, that makes sense. When you do that, do you tend to like open the hair sideways, or do you glide down in order to detangle best?
I usually glide down because hair normally comes in this way, especially, so you really have to elongate that hair from the ends. Same way you detangle when the hair is wet, from ends up. That's how I detangle with my fingers when the hair is dry.
And when the hair is wet, do you still prefer your fingers over a brush or a tool?
I always start off with my fingers first, just so I can feel how fragile the hair is when it's wet, because it feels totally different than when it's dry.
Right.
And then if I feel that I can go in with my fingers first and get majority of it out, then I'll do that. And then whatever I can't, then I'll go and get some type of detangling tool.
That's awesome. That's smart. Yeah.
It's like it's really also just to cut down on all the tension from, start to finish, and, whatever detangles or tangles I can't get out when I'm doing it dry, I have another chance when the hair is wet and I'm conditioning, as opposed to trying to rip all of those tangles out and knots out at one part of the service.
Yeah. I think we've all had that moment where, the hair's a little tangled and you get it wet and it gets worse, like right away. It's like that. The first time you see that, you experience it, there's like the panic that it happens and you're like,
yes,
we've all had that moment. Yeah. Okay, good. Not just me. I'm glad.
No, it's one of the,
not at all.
It's one of the first things I learned at Devachan too. Like, you make that mistake one time, you'll never do it again.
Yes. And that's exactly what happened to me. Like, got behind the sink. I'm like, okay, yes, I can get this. No, I was behind the sink for about an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's best to, start from the beginning, with, the whole process really, detangling, even with applying the product or conditioning, detangling while you're doing that, detangling while you're shampooing as well. I do a lot of my detangling besides when it's dry in the cleansing process with a shampoo or, some type of cleanser that has a lot of slip. That way, when I go to condition, I can really concentrate on conditioning the hair as opposed to just detangling or just getting through it for the styling.
Yeah, you gave me that tip years ago. Like even with low
really?
Years ago. And I was like, it's like in there, and it's been so helpful. Like it's saved
it saved my life a lot, especially in the salon. Prior to COVID, I was booking every half hour. So, getting behind the sink, it was like bam, bam, bam. And I needed shortcuts that actually worked and really didn't shortchange the hair, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Do you prefer, do you have recommendations for when your client comes in? Like, do you prefer that it's like a certain, maybe day one or day two, if day one's not possible for everybody? Like, do you have a certain kind of recommendations for how your client arrives for an appointment? Sorry, I tossed that one in. Sorry.
No, that's okay. In a real world, listen, they're going to come into the salon and you have to meet them where they're at. Like, I would prefer, of course, if they came with their hair down, dry, detangle with minimal product in it, but it doesn't happen all the time. So then that just I have to change up how I'm going to execute the service. Whether I'm going to take them straight to the sink or hand detangle, that type of thing.
Right.
So it's really case by case, but in a perfect world, down, dry, detangle, day 2, day 3, minimal tangles, that would be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. But I love what you said, like meet them where they're at. I think that's really meet them where they're at.
And I had to learn that too, because, if they didn't come into the salon the way I expected them to, I had an attitude. And then,
It's good that you
I had a little attitude, and then I started to realize, okay, one, that's going to affect the service for who's sitting in my chair, and they probably didn't have time to detangle their hair.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, just to make their service better, and then, also to make, me providing the service a better experience for myself. Sometimes it's just best to meet them where they're at and just go from there. It's so much easier.
Yeah, that's amazing insight.
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to pick and choose, your battles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if they know and you tell them and then they still continue, then you have to have that conversation with them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. No, pick your battles, like life lessons by Dom.
Yes.
Yeah, and honestly, also too, like for those of y'all who don't know, Dom's very speedy and accurate behind the chair too. So if you need to learn how to cut down on time, I'm sure he can give us other tips as well.
No doubt. Yeah.
And I'm actually learning to take longer time behind the chair now.
Wow.
Thanks to COVID. Look at that. Yeah. Right. All right. Now I have a whole hour. So now I have to figure out, okay, how do I slow this down?
Do you think that's such a hairdresser mentality, right? It was just like every half hour, like no break, no nothing. Yeah. It's just like bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Like I think a whole generation of us that is just like so used to like every half hour. Even your color was like a 30-minute color apply. It was everything's like 30 minutes. And now, you like a balayage takes 4.5 hours. And people are like, what? But that's like the mindset you're in. It's like just one right after the other, right?
Right. Like I did a haircut the other day that was like 30 minutes long. And it felt like I took 2 hours, but just because it's usually a lot, faster than that. And I'm fine with it now. I've learned I like this slower pace.
Yeah. Nice. You learn very early on in the industry, I think, that time is money, especially in New York City. Like people will like want you to rush even when you're already rushing. Yeah. But I totally agree that this past year and a half has forced a slowdown in some good ways that I think I want to keep.
Yeah, definitely.
Agree.
Yeah.
That.
And also when I started, one of the first salons that I worked at was production based. So the more haircuts and services you did within an hour, the more you got paid an hour. So from the start, I was already programmed to move fast.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my speed came from, even though it was probably all wrong back then. But that's kind of where
go fast first,
it
go
came
good
from.
later.
Exactly. Right. Right.
That's so true. I actually remember having I apprenticed 3 different stylists, and they were making me remember that one stylist I apprenticed with, she said, when you're new to hairstyling, first you're really slow and bad, then you're really fast and bad, and then you get really fast and good. And I was like, that is not encouraging.
But that was the truth for me.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Yes.
That's our life.
Yeah, because when I was really slow, like I didn't want these people in the salon that long, like the traditional salons, like they're in there all day. And I'm like, no, that means I have to be in here all day. So that's how I kind of tried to switch up with the whole speed thing. And then, of course, getting better just came with education and, more experience.
Yeah. Yeah. It's confidence, right? That's what really helps the speed.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question. I like this. We always have tangents. Every episode, there's always 4. All right. So the next question is, I had a client come in for the first time with me for a protective style, and her hair was not in the best condition for another protective style. What's the best option if I feel the hair needs a break but I want to keep my client happy. What's the best way to prep her hair in order for it to begin to repair? And can it repair? That's a lot. Let's start with the first one. Sorry. That's a lot.
Okay.
So what would your suggestion be if your client needs a break, but you also want to keep your client happy?
Well, she's definitely going to have to get some type of treatment, and one treatment isn't going to do the trick. So it would have to be, maybe 2 or 3 treatments and then a possible protective style. But then even picking the protective styling, I think we should try to encourage them to pick up some type of protective styling where they can still treat their hair at the same time. Okay, so braids, twists to where their hair is still somewhat out, so where they can get a little bit of moisture or anything in it, something like that. Like today, I just did, I washed, it's my wash day. So I washed and conditioned my head and, did the whole exfoliation and all that stuff. So, you just have to be mindful on the protective styles that you recommend, that's able to keep their hair and keep their scalp, together while it's protected. Just because it's protected doesn't mean it should be out of sight and out of mind, which a lot of people do when they have protective styles. They totally forget what's under there. And the reason for getting the protective style is to make, what's under there better. And so you don't put a lot of, tension, things like that, mess around with it. But you still have to keep in mind it's there. And once you take this out, you still want that hair to be there, to be, healthy and everything you want it to be.
Are there different... Oh, sorry, Faith, go.
I was going to say a follow-up question because I'm really into educating clients. So, we can do our best today. I'm not going to send you home without what you wanted, but in the future,
right.
Here's how you can maybe take your hair down 3 weeks before your next style. And here's what you can do.
Yes.
How would you recommend, what's the best way to keep, what's the biggest thing to keep in mind when you're in between protective styles at home?
In between protective styles at home, I would say, if anything, if they're a person that wears protective styles back to back to back to back, in between, like you said, in between those protective styles, like you said, at least have a month in between those protective styles where you can treat your hair in between. So when you go back protected, your hair's in really good condition, as opposed to just taking it out. Your hair doesn't have that much moisture in it, and then you're braiding it back up or twisting it back up or whatever you're doing. Then once you take that down again, now your hair is in worse damage, worse condition, than where you started. And that's not the goal of a protective style.
Okay, good to know. I'm thinking, did I do that before I got this last style?
Yeah. It's
okay. We'll figure it out. Anyway, continue, Jennessa. I know I cut you off.
No, that's okay. No. I was actually going to ask kind of the same thing. Is there an amount of time that you recommend between, or actually, are there specific protective styles that are more recommended than other kinds? Forgive me, I don't know anything about protective.
No. Honestly, I really think it's a matter of style preference, really, and the amount of maintenance they want to do to that protective style. Also, when it comes to just wearing your hair, having your hair healthy under the protective style, styles that don't have a lot of tension are the best styles. It's the tension with protective styles that really does damage to the hair. Outside of it not probably being moisturized correctly, it's really that tension, especially around the hairline. The hair is finer around the hairline. Usually they make it the tightest there with finer hair, and that's what usually takes the girl's edges away, you know? So they want to look good. I understand that, but you know, you have to do what you need to do. Everything in moderation. You know, if you're wearing, I say, listen, everything in moderation. If you like to switch up your hair, okay, but make sure you're doing what you need to do to keep that hair.
I have so many questions, but
No more tangents. No.
I just wondered. For this current style I have, I would consider it loose, and my scalp is much happier than it is. But I realized how many times I've got a protective style, and I'm in pain for a week. Like I'm taking Advil, I'm walking around like this because my hair, like, you know, I can't move my head. Like it's too much. And it's like, I think it's like a normal thing. Like people are used to like being in pain for a week and then I'm like, okay. So and how do you even tell your stylist? Is it cool? Like, is it cool to tell your stylist like that's too tight? Do it again. Yes.
If it's a matter of you keeping your edges, speak up and tell your stylist. Definitely. With me getting the locks, because I'm tender-headed, I just expected everything to hurt all the time. And it wasn't until I went to my current stylist for this, the knotless braids, and I was actually able to put my hair up the day I got my hair braided, which is usually would never happen in other styles that I've gotten. You know, and that right there was like, wait, this is how it should be. Like, I shouldn't be in pain. I should be able to sleep at night. I shouldn't have to sit up in a chair, like things like that. Like, I shouldn't have to take two Motrin before I get my hair braided, 2 while I'm getting it braided, and 2 after.
Yep.
And that was usually my thing when I would get my hair done. But I did it. And honestly, for my hair, it didn't do anything good for my hair at all underneath.
No, it wasn't protective at all. It's not protective.
I couldn't imagine it's that.
So if you notice a lot in some of my pictures, like you'll see me with the locks, and then usually it's short. That's because my hair was in no condition to be left out. It was not. So majority of times, like I would take 2 locks out, and if the hair wasn't good, and I would just shave everything off.
And
that was my cycle. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, the plot thickens. I didn't know that. Like, why his hair was just bright green and now it's shaved and now it has braids?
Oh yeah, the amount of times you just get like blonder and blonder and blonder on his photos too.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, and a lot of times I'm speaking to my clients. No, it really shouldn't. It really shouldn't. And if it's painful, then something's wrong.
Right.
Or you're just not meant to do that. Like, you know, clients, you know, who would get relaxers and, you know, back in the day, as soon as you touch the relaxer on the hair, they're burning. You shouldn't get a relaxer, you know, things like that. Like your body, your scalp, and your hair will let you know what you can do and what you can't do. And you just have to listen to it. Because it'll definitely tell you. It tells me every time. I don't listen.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
How I parent.
Right.
A word. Wow. It's so true though. I'm like, we're hairstylists. I'm just like, I probably didn't deep condition my hair enough. But like what?
Mm-hmm. I've done so much. I mean,
so funny.
Always.
Yeah.
Last question I think we got, right? Okay, my client keeps asking for a blowout, but I'm a curl specialist and I feel like I should not be doing that. But I do know they're going to go somewhere else and maybe get more damage done to their hair. Mm-hmm. So should I blow out their curls? I don't want to set my client back. This is like, I hear this actually a lot when I'm in the field because, and I think for me too, like years ago I had this moment where I was like, no, when I opened up the salon, I opened up Bounce, and that's the name of my salon. And it was like,
Yeah.
We do curls. This is what we do. And then I had a client come to me one time and be like, I'm sorry, I haven't seen you in a little while. Like I wanted to wear my hair straight for a bit. So I just went somewhere else instead of here. And it was like the first time it dawned on me that like, we should probably be figuring out how to do this safely because they're going to go somewhere else and it might not be a good thing. But it was like this weird, like double-sided, like there was like two sides like of my brain, but natural, but this, like, what do I do? So I like this question.
I think for me, ever since I started, you know, in the whole curly side of hairstyling, I've always personally thought that if you say you're a curl specialist, you should know how to blow out curly hair safely and healthy to where they're able to still have that healthy curly hair after or when they wear their hair back curly. You know, so I think it's a matter of if you're a curl specialist, I mean, I think you should just know, you know, you never know what your client's going to want when they sit in your chair, you know, and they're coming to you. If they're asking you for a blowout, it's because they trust you as a curl specialist to know how to take care of their hair when it's in its straight form. You know, so that's what I think about blowouts.
I just have a follow-up question because I really started appreciating all the things that my grandma and my mom did to stretch my hair out growing up. I didn't realize until I got to hair salons how people with different textures are blowing their hair out. And so, for example, before I would get my hair braided, my mom would like pull my hair out, like put tension on it with her hand and just use indirect heat to kind of gently stretch it out. And then my grandma, she would put my hair in twists. So the next day I can go get my hair like pressed. But there was never like a dripping wet to straight with a brush and a flat iron situation happening. So I think we need to also understand like there's so many different ways to straighten and smooth out hair.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tell a lot of my clients because they want to sometimes switch their hair up. You know, so they want to wear it, you know, straight. I'll tell them like we did, you know, back in the day. Get a roller set and wrap it, send it on a dryer, bam, you have straight hair with volume that will last a while and you didn't put a hot tool on it.
Right.
You know, things like that where they can manipulate their curl without being so excessive with the heat.
You know, I love this question though, because I think, and Jennessa, correct me if I'm wrong, what do you think about this? Is that I think this question comes from the idea that for so long in the curl community or in the curl stylist community, it's a small world. I think everyone kind of knows each other or like we know of each other. But in the curl community, there's this idea that like it's somehow blasphemy or like I'm disrespecting the curly kingdom by wearing my hair straight. And you know, to be honest, I've been working in Diva Curl for many years, and I came out of old school Devachan. So,
yeah, I came in at old school Devachan, so I know.
Maybe you can share more about this. Like, you feel guilty for blowing out someone's hair.
Well, it's fun. I have this own challenge even with my own hair, right? Because like I'm a wavy at very best. Like on a good day, I might be a slight wave, but I don't wear my hair that way, and I wear my hair blown out all the time. But I had a lot of struggle when, you know, I started even teaching. When I started, like, I was like, well, I have to wear my hair this way. I felt like I had to in order to feel like I was being part of the curly world in that little bit. But I don't feel like that anymore. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it's definitely changing for sure. Like I like my hair blown out than I do in a natural way.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. When I started with Diva, I used to relax my hair. I probably did, and the looks that I got, you know. So then I felt, So then I
like you were giving us 5 heartbeats.
Yes. Yeah. So, you know, then I started to grow my hair out, you know, into the curly thing. But me just me in general, I switch it up a lot, you
Mm.
know, so, you know, I just got used to just doing my own thing, really. But as stylists, it's definitely hard when, you know, you're really trying to, you know, speak to your curly clients and tell them the right things to do, you know, and it's really the basics because you really want to get them a good foundation before they get into, you know, blowing out and things like that.
Mhm.
But when you do get, you know, that client that does sit in your chair, you know, and they want to switch it up, but you know, like, now we went through all this work, and you know, sometimes you just have to find other options to give them that sleeker style. Like maybe talk to them and tell them, you know, it's not going to be pin straight, bone straight. It's going to be on the straighter side with, you know, some more volume, which is better for your curls. You know, spin it in that direction. That way they know that you have their curls in mind, but you still want to give them what they want.
Right. It's like you said, meet them where they're at, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do find that sometimes maybe we're as stylists a little less flexible than our clients can be sometimes, right? Like we're like can get stuck. I don't want to say
Very stuck.
but like like you know, like we very much like I call it like in the box thinking or something like that. But we can get stuck. We can get a lot less flexible than our clients can be. And I know like I've found myself in that exact same position like all the time.
Yeah.
And then I get bored, and then I'm like, well, now I'm bored because I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over.
Right.
Now what? And then that's usually that snaps me out of it. Like it's never a conscious thought of maybe I shouldn't be doing this. So I should probably work on that. But it's always like, I'm bored. I want to do something else. Let's try this. You know what I mean? That's usually gets me snapped out of that. But I'm definitely, I think that sometimes as stylists, we can be less flexible than our clients can be.
Yeah, of course. We get, you know, we've been doing this for so many years, you know, so we just kind of get in the same repetitiveness. You already know what they want before they even ask you, or, you know, so it's really just hearing what they want first, you know, without going in and having expectations already.
Yeah. Amazing.
Love it.
Amazing.
So I have one last question for you, Dom. And I love asking this. So what is your favorite aspect of being a hairstylist? I know you said at the beginning that you love education, but like what drives you like every day but like behind a chair when you're taking clients?
That is a good one. I think it's been helping the client. You know, just seeing, you know, how curly individuals have been treated, you know, wrongly, you know, in salons and, you know, just in the industry, you know, and then just hearing their stories in my chair, you know, you want to help them, you know, you want them to like their hair, you want them to love themselves, you know, so it's really, you know, that because, you know, that person sitting in my chair could be, you know, my sister, you know, and I would want another stylist to treat my sister the same way if she had any type of, you know, issues or situations like that. So that's kind of really where it came from. Outside, yeah, definitely. And that didn't come till later on. That didn't come on till later until I got a lot older. Because in the beginning, it was just make money, make money, make money, make money. And then you start to really, you know, see the need, you know. And I really didn't see that need until I started really working with curly hair.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good question, Faith.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I'm actually going to pop up, Dom, your Instagram handle for people to find you. It's always an entertainment over on Dom's Instagram, especially ever since he learned how to use TikTok. It's been very entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think those are my favorite posts every time.
I agree. So yes, you can follow Dom here. And as usual, please feel free to drop us a question on Diva Curl Pro on Instagram. And so with that, thank y'all so much. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, guys. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.